Shalom. I want to give praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahabashai, Bahashem, Bakakodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, because those are the men who I learned the truth from through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahabashai. Yahweh is the true name of the God of Israel. Yahabashai is for the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ, but his one and only true name is Yahabashai. And pretty much I want to do this video concerning the Iranians, which are the ancient Persians. I want to show you, according to the scriptures, what their lot is in these end times, because they're a major player in World War III. And when you read the scriptures, Ezekiel the 38th and the 39th chapter, during this upcoming World War, which, by the way, a world war is global conflict around the planet Earth by multiple opposing nations. So it's not like a regular war where you just got two armies fighting against each other. You're gonna have multiple different conflicts going on around the planet Earth by different nations. And these particular nations, they're gonna form alliances according to the scriptures. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this is Revelation 11 and 14. It says the second woe is past. The second woe representing World War II. You can Google it yourself. You can see when World War II actually took place. But see, the key thing is that John the Revelator, he received these visions of the future, and now we see what the Lord gave him a vision of. It came to pass in the form of World War. Because John the Revelator, he received a lot of visions. World War III, the mark of the beast. He saw the elect of the nation of Israel being beheaded. So he saw a lot of end time prophecy. So it says the second woe, referring to World War II, it says is past, and behold, the third woe coming quickly. So when you read the scriptures, it's prophesied that there would be three world wars. All right, it wouldn't be no World War IV. It would be World War III, and that's it. So it says it coming quickly, meaning as soon as World War II ends, a couple of decades later, you're gonna have World War III. So I went on Google and I typed in Albert Pike World War III, right? I'm just gonna start from here. It says the narrative claims that in 1871, Pike, a prominent American FM and a Confederate officer, wrote a letter to the Italian revolutionary Giuseppe Manasseh. I'm probably pronouncing the name wrong. I'm not Italian, all right? Outlining 3 world wars designed to bring about a new world order. So the purpose of World War III is to bring about a new world order so that the Zionists can rule. And who are the Zionists? It's these people right here, the Edomites, the so-called white man in Zebulon. All right? So now let's go back. So let's go down here. Key aspects of the letter. Conspiracy narrative, which the word conspiracy, it really means a plotting of evil by a specific group of people. All right? It's not a theory, it's a fact. So this is what Albert Pike said in his letter, right? Because Albert Pike, he's an insider. He knows the true agendas of these Zionists. It says World War I claimed to be designed to overthrow the Tsar in Russia and establish a communist state. World War II claimed to be designed to leverage tensions between fascists and political Zionists, resulting in the establishment of the State of Israel, which they succeeded in that. World War III, it says allegedly designed to be fought between political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world, causing mutual destruction, economic collapse, and ultimately leading humanity toward a true light of Luciferian doctrine. All right? So there you go. So I went to the images section, and let's see here. I'm gonna zoom in on this. This is Albert Pike, right?
It says a third world war will occur between the political Zionists, which is Israel, the least of the flock, and the leaders of the Islamic world, with countries like Palestine, Iran, right? It says the war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. So this is what we have been seeing for decades, leading up to what? World War III. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. And it's going to be fought with nuclear missiles. All right? See what else they got here. So, I mean, you pretty much, you get the point. All right, that's a famous quote by this particular individual, as you can see here. All right, let's keep it going. This is Ezekiel chapter 38. And I really just want to focus on Iran, honestly. Ezekiel 38:5, it says Persia, right? Now, when you actually go into Persia, right, the word there is paras, right? Paras. Let's go down here. And it says Persia equal pure or splendid. The empire Persia encompassed the territory from India. So this lets you know that the Iranians, they're not Arab. They're not descendants of Ishmael, because it's the territory from India that's associated with Elam, all right? Because after the flood, there was 18 nations that was established, and every human being on the planet Earth comes from one of these 18 seeds that became nations on the planet Earth. So the Iranians, they're descendants of Elam, their forefather, all right? So it says, the empire Persia encompassed the territory from India on the east to Egypt, and Thrace on the west, and included, besides portions of Europe and Africa, the whole of Western Asia between the Black Sea, the Caucasus, the Caspian, and the Yaxaris on the north, the Arabian Desert, the Persian Gulf, and the Indian Ocean on the south. It says, Persia proper was bounded on the west of Susanna or Elam, see? On the north by Media, on the south by the Persian Gulf, and on the east by the Carmania, Persia. See Persia, pure or splendid, the people of the Persian Empire, right? So it's prophesied that what? That they would be allied with Russia, and these particular nations, like it says, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. So let's stop right there. Let's read this. When did Persia become Iran? It says Persia officially became Iran March 21st, 1935, when Reza Shah Pahlavi requested the international community use the nation's narrative name, Iran. While Persia was a Western label used for centuries, Iran, meaning land of the Aryans, was chosen to emphasize national unity, indigenous heritage, and to mark a break from past colonial perceptions. It says key details regarding the name change, right, from Persia to Iran. The date, the change became official on the Persian New Year, which is March 21st, 1935. It says the reason for the name change. Reza Shah wanted to promote a modern, unified national identity that reflected the country's ancient history, rather than relying on the Anaxim, right? It says foreign given name. There you go. All right. So when the scriptures say Persia is referring to Iran. Now when you go on Google, I typed in Persia World War III AI, right? It says Iran, historically Persia, is a major regional power in the Middle East with a large specialized military force, right? It says in a hypothetical, which ain't hypothetical, is actually happening. In a World War III scenario, Iran's strategic position, advanced drone/missile capabilities, and potential alliances with other major powers, like it says in Ezekiel 38, would make it a central player in the conflict. Key aspects of Iran's role in a potential World War III scenario include strategic location, position along the Persian Gulf and Strait of Hormuz, controlling key shipping lanes. And what has Iran been saying? They're going to shut it down. This is going to cause an economic collapse. It's going to cause more of an energy crisis in Europe and all around the world, right? It's going to cause things to get more expensive. It says military strength. It says the IRGC and regular military possesses advanced, locally produced, and foreign supply weapons, missiles, and drones, alliances, potential alignment with other major powers. Conflict potential. As a major power in the region, a conflict involving Iran could have devastating global consequences. All right. So, hey man, see that global conflict, right? Check this out. So I just read Ezekiel 38:5, right? It says, this verse identifies key nations: ancient Persia, modern day Iran, Kush, which is Ethiopia/Sudan, and Put, which is Libya/North Africa, forming part of a coalition with Gog for an apocalyptic end times invasion of Israel. All these events that's happening in the world today is leading up to Bible prophecy being fulfilled. All right. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna read the second one. Key aspects of Ezekiel 38:5. It says the allies. The verse lists 3 specific nations or regions that align with Gog, right, which would be Russia today. It says Persia, located to the east of Mesopotamia, covering modern-day Iran. It says Kush refers to the region south of Egypt, often associated with Ethiopia or Sudan. Put, often identified as Libya or regions in North Africa. All right. Yep. So that's the point. Let's go here. So I typed in Ezekiel 39 Iran, right? AI overview. Ezekiel 38:39 describes a future war of Gog and Magog with a coalition of nations widely interpreted as including modern-day Russia and Iran, referred to as Persia, attacks Israel. Persia is specifically listed in the alliance. The prophecy concludes with the Most High intervening to destroy this coalition. Yeah, because YASHAMIAHLA is going to come in the midst of World War III after particular prophecies take place, like Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation, the mark of the beast becoming mandatory throughout all countries, the destruction of America by nuclear destruction, right? So before the nuclear missiles hit its target and fulfill prophecy, the elect that you read about in Matthew the 24th chapter, verses 30 through 31, he's going to gather together his elect from the 4 winds, which is north, south, east, and west, so that we don't get caught up in this destruction, the second death, right? So that's what it's talking about. It says, emphasizing divine sovereignty and protection of Israel. It says Persia equal Iran. Bible scholars often identify the Persia mentioned in Ezekiel 38:5 as modern-day Iran. The alliance. This coalition, described as coming from the far north, often interpreted as Russia, along with Iran, Libya, and other nations, to attack a restored Israel, which will be the state of Israel. All right? Let's sit with that. I got one more. Let's see. I typed in Iran and Israel Bible, right? A overview, biblical prophecy, particularly in Ezekiel 38 and 39. It says, is widely interpreted by scholars to identify Persia, modern-day Iran, as a key nation that will form a military alliance with others to attack Israel in the last days. This conflict, known as the War of Gog and Magog, is expected to result in the Most High's intervention, which will be through Yahweh on behalf of Israel to save the Israelites, pursuant to what? Daniel 12 and 1, right? It says key biblical connections and interpretations. Ezekiel 30 and 39 predicts a coalition including Persia, which is modern-day Iran, right? They used to be called Persia until March 21st, 1935, attacking a regathered Israel, which will be the Edomite established Israel, pursuant to Ezekiel 36 and 5. All right? So it's prophesied that what? They're going to launch nuclear missiles and destroy the state of Israel. Here's the proof. This is Ezekiel 38 and verse 8. It says, after many days thou shalt be visited, in the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel. It's talking about the state of Israel, the Zionist created state of Israel, pursuant to Ezekiel 36 and 5. Because who inhabits Israel today? Let's read that real quick. Because when the Lord mentions particular lands and territories that's in this upcoming world war, you got to apply it to the nations that inhabit it today. Not necessarily the ancient nations, although the ancient nations, they can still be there. So this is the regathered Israel it's talking about, Ezekiel 36 and 5. It's talking about the Israel that was established in 1948 by these people, all right? So now let's go back. Ezekiel 36 and 5, therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea. Who is Idumea? Idumea is the Greek way of saying Edom. They inhabit the promised land right now, along with the Palestinians and the Philistine Jews and other nations. But they have a plan called Greater Israel, which involves what? Them wiping out the other heathen. All right? So it says, spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, all the seed line of Edom. We understand that nations are established from the seed of a man. Nations get their name from the seed they come from that man, which have appointed my land, right? The Balfour Declaration, that's how they got that land. They established the Zionist created state of Israel, which that dream, it goes back to Theodore Herzl, right? Appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with the spiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. It says, prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains, and to the hills, and to the rivers, and to the valleys, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. All right? So this is why the Lord is going to allow the Iranians, the Russians, and their allies to destroy that regathered Israel, because they're not the true Israelites anyway. Right? They defiled that land. So that's it with that. So now let's go back to Ezekiel 38. This is Ezekiel 38 and 8. It says, after many days thou shalt be visited, in the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel. Meaning what? When you read Ezekiel chapter 38, right, and the verses above, all these nations, they're going to team up and they're going to destroy this regathered state of Israel. All right? And that's through the will of the Lord. So it says, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Let's go down here. Let's go down here. This is Ezekiel 38 and 18. It says, matter of fact, yeah, Ezekiel 38:18. And this shall come to pass at that same time when Gog shall come up against the land of Israel. Gog representing Russia. Russia is going to have allies when you read the verses above, right? One of them allies is the Persians, which is Iran. It says, and this shall come to pass, Ezekiel 38:18. At the same time, when Gog shall come up against the land of Israel, saith the Lord Yahweh, that my fury shall come up in my face. The fury representing what? The nuclear destruction. Because when the nuclear missiles hit, it's going to create a mushroom cloud, right? For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel. The shaking is referring to what? Iran, Russia, and their allies destroying the Zionist created state of Israel. That land is going to be hit with nuclear destruction. All right? As well as Babylon the Great, which is America. So Lord willing, you was edified. Shalom.